I love how the word normal doesn't exist in the lexicon anymore because the postmodernists did a good job at deconstructing it. But what I'm about to show you is definitely not normal. And the word should come back. After I will show you the thing that is not normal, we are going to look at how people react to it. And their reaction is also not normal.
Richie Greenberg walked into a San Francisco Walgreens when he saw in the frozen food section this.
Chains, heavy chains that went from padlock to padlock on both sides of the doors, and this was bizarre, something I'd never seen before.
Yeah, because it's not normal. I live in Romania. I have never seen something like this ever. Now, I want to point out that after the fall of communism, the government was in disarray. There were a lot of thefts going around. It wasn't this bad. Like to go into a store and see padlocks on the refrigerator. I guess this goes to show when you treat criminals like the victims, then the entire society becomes the victim.
This is just more icing on the cake, telling us that rampant crime has become a regular part of life.
So typical.
To call it rampant is being an understatement. Like, again, in Eastern Europe, I do believe we can say we have crime. But I have never seen stores being locked up like this, ever.
That in the 30 minutes we were at this Walgreens, we watched 3 people, including this man, steal.
Did that guy pay? Did that guy pay?
So you have CNN doing an interview. What are the chances that they landed exactly when someone stole something from a supermarket? This is beyond bizarre. This is... And I want people to start saying it. I know it's difficult. I know your brain isn't wired to do it anymore, but you need to say it. It's not normal.
He didn't pay?
Walgreens says this Richmond neighborhood store with aisles of products like mustard locked behind plexiglass has the highest theft rate of all their nearly 9,000 U.S. stores, hit more than a dozen times a day. When thieves turned to cleaning out ice cream and frozen burritos, workers grew so frustrated they resorted to the chains. They were ordered down by corporate because of the negative messaging. But Walgreens isn't the only retailer impacted in San Francisco.
You have to ask an employee for help.
At this store.
What I love the most is the political correctness aspect of it, where the chain is the problem. The actual solution to the issue, which, by the way, is like putting a patch on a sinking ship. But the solution is the problem, right? It's like the message that it would send. It's not the problem that people are robbing the store at least 10 times a day. No. Like that is normal. Okay? Like that is the new normal. The problem is the messaging that the chain would send. Oh my God, like this is so San Francisco, isn't it? Like it's peak Scat Francisco. Peak. I don't know, like if you were to ask me to summarize modern left-leaning ideology coming from the academia, it's literally this. The war on noticing. It's like, don't get other people to notice, alright? Like, let the thing happen. Allow the thing to continue happening, and the solution is to not talk about it, ignore it. Maybe if we just put our fingers in our ears and go la 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 la, it will go away.
Frozen food is controlled with a cable lock. Fake eyelashes locked behind plexiglass, along with lotion and nail polish. At another grocery store, $14 bags of coffee under lock and key.
What is this?
I don't know. I don't understand why coffee.
Here she is.
But
You don't understand. Really, you do not understand. I have a feeling that he understands very well, but because there's a news camera in front of him, he has to pretend he doesn't understand. But I understand that he understands. I think the reporter understands that he understands. Everyone understands. But we have to play pretend. We have to keep up the circus. That we just don't know why. It's so bizarre. Like, up until now, this wasn't the case, but now it is, and we just don't know why.
Oh.
it's become kind of like a police state. in San Francisco. I don't know how else to describe it.
It's not part of city life. It's not part of the way people should be living, right? And that includes folks who are committing the crimes.
Marjan Philauer.
No, this is exactly how people should be living. If you vote for these policies, like, this is political, okay? This is not the fact that San Francisco all of a sudden has more criminals than in other places. No, it is due to the policies that were enacted, because these things weren't there 5 years ago, all right? Like, it's not that within the last 5 years, the criminal mind, the criminal element, has all of a sudden become so brazen and so emboldened that they're willing to do this, to rob a store more than 10 times a day. No. They have a policy where they say that a police officer cannot stop anyone that steals under $1,000. So they cannot physically restrain that person. Which means that what criminals have started doing is, like, they find a fence, which tells them, okay, well, if you bring me these products, I will pay you. So they're going to stores. They're usually taking like $900 worth of merchandise because they know exactly what to take. And then they go to another store, and they go to another store, and they go to another store. It has become a business. And this is the reason, well, one of the reasons. The main reason is that you're being soft on crime, okay? It's not fucking rocket science. Like, I actually had people on Twitter going like, oh, do you have a study? You have a study? Like, what fucking study? That if you lock people up, they can't commit crime from within the prison? You want to study for that? You want a study that points out that 2 + 2 = 4 because your brain has been turned to mush and you're unable to understand the world unless a scientist spoon feeds you the reality? Yeah, literally, if you're tough on crime, if you lock people up, they don't commit crimes from within the prison. It's not about rehabilitation. It's not about like, oh, let's create positive members for society. No, it's literally that. If some people cannot live by the rules of society, they have to be separated from the law-abiding folk. The law-abiding folk don't have to put up with this shit. The law-abiding folk don't have to walk the streets in fear. They don't have to pay more at the supermarket because the supermarket is raising the prices as to be able to still make a profit despite all the theft. Law-abiding folk don't have to deal with this shit, and you're also normalizing it. Right? Like, the same ideology that freaks out over, oh my god, you normalize the sexist joke, so sexism is now normalized. Oh my god, you normalize the racist joke, South Park, oh, you're normalizing racismus. But when you have, like, thievery going around at this level, this brazen, this doesn't normalize crime. No, this is perfectly acceptable. By the way, you would get more into trouble if you say a racist joke on TV right now than if you're caught stealing. Like, CNN managed to catch 3 individuals that stole. Is there any social media outrage? Is there any consequence? No. I'm willing to bet that if any one of them would have said a racist joke on camera, oh, then all of a sudden the neurons would activate. So anyway, what are people saying about this? Do not message or contact these people, right? Goes without saying, like, the reason I'm making this video is to show that this is not normal, and the reaction to it is not normal either. Listen to this. Did you take a video of the perfectly good food in the trash cans behind Walmart that are locked and chain shut to keep people from taking it and eating it because it could siphon some demand from people who might otherwise be forced to pay the food they can't afford? So they will assume that the criminal has the most noble and positive intentions. I find it interesting how if you do the opposite, it's not allowed. Like, if you give money to a beggar and you say, well, he's going to spend it on booze, like, what? Why do you assume? What? Come on, empathy, human empathy. But the other way is perfectly fine. So if you have a criminal that walks into a store and steals shit, oh, well, he probably has starving children at home. He must have a sick mama. He's got a sick mama and he can't take care of her. Are you fucking kidding me? And this is in San Francisco, right? Like, the most progressive. I mean, wealth redistribution must be at an all-time high because we got, like, equity and diversity initiatives and all that shit, right? It's probably not because of the fentanyl crisis. Probably not because of that, I understand, right? Because, like, drugs all of a sudden, victimless crime, right? Democrats, is that correct? Hey, here's the thing. You don't know why these people are stealing. I do not believe that these people are starving to death. And like they're going into the supermarket to take the ice cream and the eyelashes in order to be able to support themselves. Like in modern America, people do not starve to death. Like if you actually find someone that starved to death, that would probably be international news. Okay? People die from drug abuse. People die from other things. Diabetes, obesity, like that's a killer in the United States. Not starvation. These people are doing it because it's profitable and because the lawmakers have passed legislation which allows them to do it, and because they're soft on crime. That's it. That's the explanation. Look at this. The racist video from CNN is very problematic. The people who take things are doing nothing wrong. You can't even tell if this is sarcasm anymore. I can't tell. Like, I genuinely can't. A trend police with urban moral decay and poverty shaming. Yes, this is poverty shaming. In Romania, we are more poor. Okay? Like, the average American is living like a king compared to Romanian standards. We do not do this. We do not behave this way. This is not normal. You go to rural areas where people are far poorer than the urban area. They do not behave like this. This is not normal. Poverty shaming. Really? Really? You know what's poverty shaming? Stereotyping that poor people behave like this. That's poverty shaming. I got a little bit upset because I used to be poor when I grew up. I didn't steal. I managed to go through life without stealing. And I did go a couple of days without eating. Like, when I lived alone, there were like 2-3 days in a row sometimes when I would just eat bread with ketchup. I'm not kidding, like I didn't have cash. You know, like usually the time before I would get money again, that's how I lived. That's like living from paycheck to paycheck. But anyway, I'm not farming pity because like I don't live like that now. But I didn't steal back then. I never, like, it didn't even come in my head. Like the concept was so alien and foreign that I never for once thought it's like, hey, what if I go to the supermarket and steal some shit? And of course, you know, the problem isn't just the supermarkets. Like if the supermarkets are this bad, I assume the entire society is fucked up. Like, you want me to believe that people are this brazen that they go into a supermarket but they don't steal on the street, they don't do thuggery and other stuff, you know, they don't rob other individuals. The drug epidemic, that's not even being addressed, but you see videos of it. Anyway, right, this is not sustainable. You know, the left likes to talk about sustainability. This is not sustainable. If you don't fix this shit, the stores are going to close. No one wants to do business in these neighborhoods. Like, no, seriously, unironically, would you open a business in a place like that? Would you open a business when you know that's happening and the cops don't do shit? Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.